Hello, everybody. Brian here from quantlabs.net. We are doing our webinar. I'm just going to wait it out a little bit to see if we get people coming aboard because the good old Facebook. Yeah, here, let me just get myself on there. Doing our webinar. Okay, off we go. All right, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with numbers tonight for attendees. This webinar is being live recorded on Facebook at quantlabs.net. If you need to know where that is in the future, that is Facebook quantlabs.net. Or if you want here, this is the place to be. No, right here. So Facebook quantlabs.net. All right, so let's get on with the show. What we have here is a couple of discoveries. I've committed myself to getting into the world of crypto and only crypto. I put out a video a while back tracking for the last, let's say, 3 to 5 years with stocks, forex, and crypto. What I found was that crypto has easily the highest percentage of returns over that period of time, 3 to 5 years, where people go on about this and that. But when you look at the numbers, crypto is easily the number one asset class out there. So knowing that, what we're going to do is I've looked at different areas in crypto. The big thing is if I look up TradingView with Bitcoin USD, people thought that Bitcoin was the safe haven. It may be, it may not be. I don't know. I'm going to show you what in a minute regarding what I'm seeing in the last day or in the last week or so. The market's going to a bear market. But if you looked at the, let's say, past month, what you'll see here is that there was a bounce for a while, a big bounce actually, and then it's gone into this tail or bar market for, I'll say, a week or so, and then it bounces back again. So obviously it's very volatile, but what I've seen is that all cryptocurrencies will drop. So one of the things that I've studied if you go over to Binance, which is the exchange that I really like, I've worked with CoinMarketCap, Kraken, and some of the other Asian-based exchanges. Binance is easily the cleanest and the biggest out there, most trusted as well. But one of the big things that has been going on in the world of crypto is the level of futures market. It's a big market now. I think that's where a lot of the volume is. It's all done in USDT. So here you can see this is the BTC USDT futures market. There are about 20 different coins here. So in here, what I've done is I've got a way to track that. I built a little script. It is very transparent where you can go in and look at a lot of things. I put up more videos on this on my YouTube channel at Quant Labs. So let me just go to the browser here. So that would be YouTube /Quant Labs. And there's a ton of videos I put up regarding the futures market. And what I found was it was a really eye-opening experience. So as I said, there's about 20 coins. Binance always adds new coins, but there's a couple of things that are really powerful that you can get from a lot of these coins in the futures market. First, the open interest, which is standard in options or futures. Now again, this is on Binance. This is very, very transparent, to be trusted as well. There's the bid ask, which I have talked about as well. Many times I can calculate the bid-ask spread. You can also calculate the bid and ask quantity, but to be truthful, you're not going to go very far with the bid and ask. People think that's far enough that you can say, well, this coin's doing this because the asks are higher than the bids. That's not the case, because what you need to look at is um, there's another metric you can look at in the finance market, the Binance markets, is to see how much the actual orders themselves, which is like a level 9, which you can't do on a stock or futures or an options market, because it's either going to go through a dark pool, which you cannot see that type of information, or if it's on a futures or an options exchange through the CME, you got to pay to get access to that, and that's probably thousands upon thousands of dollars per month. Here in the world of crypto, you have access to that information, so you could see actual orders being put through the futures market, and you could also not just track that, but you can also track the quantity. And this is the important stuff, because this is the information of what is actually being bought and sold in the markets, whereas all the bid and ask gives you is, if you're using an algorithm, like a bot or an HFT shop, what they'll do is they'll put out quotes, pretend to put out orders, and then cancel them, so they're not actually executed upon. And no, they do that on purpose to throw off your signals for other traders. And that will happen again in the Forex. That will happen in all asset classes. And they could try to do this in the futures market on Binance, but they can't, because Binance gives you with transparency what is actually being traded, what orders are being traded, and at what quantity, and what side is being taken. That is powerful. That's the only asset class that gives you that. So knowing that, you can calculate from that over a snapshot what is the average price, what is the both on the ask and the bid, and you can get better metrics from that for forecasting. That's a huge deal. So then you can also calculate what is the average price over that time period. So this information is more valuable to you. And again, crypto or Binance is the only asset class that gives you that information. You will not get that through dark pool. You'll not get that through a lot of other trading venues. So this very important information is really important, that are real trades that are executed. So then when you look at what I use right now is the number of buys and sells. You can tell here, and this was generated a few hours ago, this file. Again, this is the futures market. What you can see here is you can see the number of buys are much higher than the number of sells, and that's going to drive up the price. And as I said, in that trading view chart here, you can see that. That's what's been driving up since yesterday. So that's been, and it's been like that for a while. And part of that is because it's now becoming a safe haven with all the red that you're seeing from last week due to that coronavirus. So this is a good metric. It's reliable as well, but again, only on the futures market. So that's one big, call it, discovery I've made. And that's, again, transparent, and it's even more reasons to trade on this asset class of crypto versus anything else. So that's fine. But I have had instances of, out of these 20 coins here, all own USDT Tether, which is the stable coin of choice right now because it's stable. And obviously you have about 20 plus coins to play with. But I've seen instances over the last week since the bear market started a week or 10 days ago. There were no buyers in the market. So the number of buyers here were close to zero. And the number of sellers would be astronomical, 90% sellers and maybe 10% buyers. So the price was driven down. So that forced me to look for, and that was during when the crash was happening as well last week, when the markets were basically crashing. So I was forced to look at other venues. So what I did was with Binance, a couple of things you can do with Binance. You can look at all of the movers, all movers in Binance. There's over 700 assets or coins or pairs, instruments within Binance. So I'm able to, if I wanted, be able to look at all 700 and provide myself what is the volume and what is the rate of change, which is basically another way of saying what is the last percent move for the last hour on that particular instrument or pair. This is what I found. Some of this is questionable, but majority of it is reliable. So what we have here is this is on all markets on in Binance. Okay, so if I go back into the the spot market of Binance, let me just pull up Binance again. So there's numerous markets in Binance. Okay, so let's say if I want to trade not just in the futures, but I want to trade in the spot market. Okay, so the spot market is not as big as the futures market, but depends upon the coin that you want to look at. So what you'll find is there's like a bunch of different markets to look at. There's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or they call it alts, which includes Tron, Binance Coin. So here's Binance, BNB markets, Binance, Binance Coin Market, Bitcoin Market. Then, as I said, there's the alts, which includes all of these markets: Ripple, Tron, Ethereum. And then now, since I've last looked at this in the last 4 months, now what they've added is a fiat market. So that will include USDT Tether, which is obviously the tethering to the US dollar, and other stable coins like that. Like Binance has their own USD, PAX, TUSD, USDC. Majority of the stable coins used that are tethered to the US dollar is tethered, USDT. Plus, they've now added these other 4 coins that are real. So now you can trade Euro, Nigeria, Ruble, and Turkey. So I think what they've done is, from logically, is they still have the Bitcoin market, which I'm going to show you how everything ranks. And then you have the Ethereum, then you have the fiat, and then you have this USDT. So when you factor in the real fiat currencies, Euro, Nigeria, Ruble, and Turkish Lira, what I found is the volumes are very low. Okay, very, very low. If you asked me a year ago, the volumes were not as strong for the Tether market, USDT. Today, a year later, USDT is easily the #1 market on Binance. Okay, and that's because of the futures market. So what I think will happen is, depending upon the competition, depending upon where crypto goes a year from now, I think these 4 markets, or these 4 currencies, these real 4 real fiat currencies will become big players in those currencies, in these fiat currencies. So I think there's a number of reasons for that, and looking at the pick of these countries, Turkey, Russia, Nigeria, and Europe, it enables them that they're not picking the US dollar, the real US dollar, but they are using the US dollar tether equivalent. And this is like as a form of the next phase of where they think crypto will go. From what I understand, Russia is becoming a very important market to them, as well as Turkey, Nigeria, and as well as Europe. So if there's regulation that is too restrictive to Binance, they can easily step out, like they did with the U.S., and just say we're no longer, well, we have an exchange for the U.S. market where the U.S. dollar, Binance.US, is very low as compared to these, as well as low. but I think in the next year you'll probably find some of these markets will grow quite a bit. And how I envision it now, coming off of the last week with this coronavirus and the worst week in the market since 2008, I think that this is probably a very smart place for Binance and anyone else to hang out in. Are going to be in weird currencies like ruble, Nigeria, and Turkey. These are growth markets probably in a few years. So that's why they chose them. They're important markets to finance. So this is the next logical step, I think, where crypto markets will flow into either of these three countries. Less of Europe because of probably some kind of regulation coming out of the EU, but definitely these three markets: Nigeria, Russia, and Turkey. So I think that that's going to be the next big place where Binance will be in the spot market. So that's how I envision things for Binance. But when you look at the performers of where the best performers are, according to Binance, so this file includes all 700 available pairs that you can trade on Binance. So these are your top performers. So for instance, Dent in the BTC market, Trig in the BTC market, RPX in the BTC market, ERD, POE, DREP are all in the Bitcoin market. So right now the top performers are in the Bitcoin market as it stands right now. So when you look at the futures market, as the previous file I showed, which is this one, if the market falls apart, which it did up until maybe Friday, where there's no buyers in the futures market, the next place to go to get performance with crypto on Binance is this market in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin only. As you can see here, there's only one Ethereum pair, and there's maybe one BNB pair, but majority of the time it's always in the Bitcoin market, in the BTC market. So what I'm saying is, from a optimal point of view, from the bot point of view, right now for performance, I'd rather put all my computer resources into the BTC market and the futures market. But when you look at the spot market for performance of Tether, like USDT, you're not like you're getting, let's say, out of the top, let's say the top 25 pairs, you got one market. Oh, this is all for USDT. You got USDT 1, 2, uh, 3 out of 20 top the top 20 coins. Only 3 are in Tether. Plus, you have other coins that are in the U.S. stablecoin, where there's USDC. You also have PAX, which is BUSD. So just because you can say for USDT has the highest volume, sometimes that chances are, for the last week that I've been looking at this, chances are there's going to be specific coins in something like BUSD or PAX or USDC that are going to outperform anything in USDT. So that kind of threw me off. So what I'm saying there, to get optimal performance, it's just for now better to focus on the BTC market when there's a full-on bear market where there's no buyers in the futures market, because there's going to be no buyer. There will be buyers somewhat in the Bitcoin market, with a few, not a lot, but a few coins doing well. So at worst case scenario, you will find certain markets like BTC that will do well no matter what. The world could be on fire, but yet certain pairs will be performing somewhat decently in the BTC market. So my theory is stick with the BTC market and then move into when things are good, focus on USDT. There's another reason for this as well. When you look at the trading rules for Binance, okay, this is really important. If you decide to strike out on your own and write your own trading bot, this is going to be really, really important for you to understand. The minimum amount to do test trades, but live in the market of Binance. Let's see if I can pull this off. So, in order to trade anything in the BTC market, they just reduced this, like, I don't know when, but it's much better for this. So if you want to do a test trade of anything in the BTC market, minimum order, you can now trade 0.0003001 BTC minimum order to make a live order happen. So what this means is when you look at 0.001 BTC to USD, okay, that means currently right now to do that small little tiny trade will cost you less than $1. Okay, so it's going to cost you right now 89 cents. So to do a test trade live in the market with very, very little risk, when you start developing a strategy for your trading bot, you want to be starting out in the BTC market because it's lowest risk, right? So you could also kind of be in the Ethereum market as well, because here the minimum order to put into is the Ethereum market is 0.01 Ethereum. Okay, so what I'm saying here, if you want to go out into the Ethereum market and test trade small tiny orders, you can do it for as little as $2.30 US. So right now, before the change with Bitcoin, it used to be around $5 US. So now Bitcoin to test trade is better to do it in Bitcoin because it's lower than $1 versus this amount, $2.30 for Ethereum. So these are the great markets to play with, but there's some caveats with it. It depends upon your trading strategy. Are you mean reverting, or are you momentum trend following based type of strategy? Because if you're doing mean reversion, this type of strategy will work for mean reversion to test in the BTC market or the Ethereum market because it's low risk. Whereas if you wanted to do momentum-based trading, you would need to move into the USDT market. Here's the problem with USDT. So if you plan to trade in the futures market of Binance with these 20 coins in USDT, you will need to follow these rules. So in order to test a strategy in the Binance futures market, which is only in USDT, you will have to put an initial investment in as a test trade, minimum $10 US, okay, or 10 USDT. So that's a little higher risk. So if you consistently are testing in the futures market of Binance and your strategy is consistently losing, you have to put on $10 to make that trade happen, to test your bot. So that's a challenge, and that's a high risk way to test. So you will be forced kind of to test in the BTC market or the Ethereum market because there's lower risk. Because in the BTC market, you can put a minimum trade of less than $1 US, or if you want to trade in the Ethereum market, you can do that for less than $2 or about $2, 230 here in Ethereum into the USD. So that is really important to know that. So let's say you wanted to test BNB. Well, BNB is different because it's even higher risk. So it's 0.1 BNB. So what does 1.1 BNB is equivalent to in USD? So you're looking at about the same as Ethereum, but you won't have the volume. And I can say that because when you look at this spreadsheet here, right, this one I just showed you with the 700, all the instruments available in Binance, you'll see very few Ethereum. So again, if I did pick off the top 20, how many of them will be in the Ethereum market? So we have 1, 2, it looks like 3. So you only out of 20 top performers right now, or in the last few hours, only 3 were in the Ethereum market. So when you look at what should you start out in, again, it depends on the type of strategy you're using. You may want to stick with BTC market because you have a higher probability that there's going to be the top performers on Binance will be in the BTC market, and they'll have decent volume as well. So that's really important to understand. And it's a mix of, is your strategy trend following, or is it mean reverting? If it's mean reverting, you can go from crypto to crypto, and that won't be so bad because if your quote coin drops and it's mean reverting, chances are you will be able to kind of equivalent hedge that risk as the quote coin drops in value or moves in value, depending upon which side you take, like long or short. So there's that. But if you are trend following, you probably want to minimize the volatility of that pair, and that's why you would need to sort of trade in the USDT. Okay, but my logic right now is just saying, you know what, I understand that, but to do a minimum trade of $10 or 10 USDT, it's a much higher risk if it loses, as opposed to if it's in BTC, it's only going to cost me $1. So that's why I'm kind of moving towards BTC, regardless of what type of strategy it is, if that makes sense. So there's that. Okay, so again, I talked about the futures market and what happens if the markets, the crypto coin market, there's no buyers in the market whatsoever. As I said before, chances are there will be opportunity in these column penny stock equivalent or bottom feeder type of coins in Bitcoin that seem to perform no matter where things go with crypto overall. Let's say for the top 20 or in the futures market, there's always going to be opportunities. So for instance, here, this one box BTC, ERD BTC, you can see the moves over the last hour were quite strong at 16%, 5%, PHB at 2%, FTM at 1%, and so on. And the volumes are not too bad because when you factor that this amount in volume will be in BTC, the volumes are quite strong that I found. And you can put a filter on the volume that you want to ensure that there's going to be some liquidity for that pair. But it's very, very specific, because if I showed you a chart, I can show you some charts that this script will generate. So let me just see where I am here as an example. So if I show you some of the most recent charts for some of these pairs, let's see here, what would be a good one? Let's say that was open. Let's hopefully, I'll just do the whole thing. So this is just a variety of some of the coins. You'll be able to see how they just look weird. There's quite a few of those, but you can kind of get around that. So let me just resize this. So if I was to show you some of these, so this one is BQX. You can see this is an hourly chart. You can see there's not a lot going on. Same with this one, and the size swings are kind of the same. So I asked myself, is that manipulated? Same with this one, but you can see that this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar, there's no activity, which means it's somewhat illiquid. So you have to be aware of that. But what can happen at some point when you look at the volume here, it can do okay based upon the buying volume, as I said. So some of these can perform really good, like here. But again, then you run into these situations where there's not a lot of volume going on. This one's a little more, and you have to be really cognizant of this type of trading. Okay, so these are just some of the coins out there that what you need to look for. And let me see if there's any smaller. So just, but there's some that are really good if there's enough volume in there, and you'll be able to see that there is a market there for buying and selling at that time, because there's nothing else to invest into. And if chances are, if there is volume in a bad market, out of some of these coins here that I've listed here for the BTC movers, out of these, if it's assumed to be a bear market, chances are there will be a mover in there that where you can profit off of. So kind of important to really factor that in. And it just, considering when you look at the different styles of trading in Binance, and to be able to sit here and say, like here, you have all this information available for you from the futures market, from the top 20 coins that are listed in the Binance futures market. So this can help you give direction on the overall crypto space based upon the overall performance. Now, another thing I can say as a trend, there are some coins that have done well. Like I've shown you on TradingView, both, in this case we have Bitcoin Cash. Right here in the USDT, Ethereum's been doing okay. This one's been doing good. Chainlink, as one of those weird, I shouldn't say weird, but unknown coins that has been doing pretty good. So when you look at Link USDT on Binance, which is again the futures market and the spot, the performance has been awesome. And this is even if it's in a down market. You can see here that you're $2. It's doubled, more than doubled. in a very short period of time from January, beginning of the year till whenever this is. And it's held up pretty strong as well. So that's one coin that's done really well. Nobody knows about. Another one is XTZ USD, which is TZOS. Doesn't really matter what exchange, but I just want to show you this performance here. This one's done really well as well. And when you think about the overall performance, as I said, for both Forex or U.S. stocks, you're looking at one coin that's gone from $1.28 all the way up to $3.50. So it's gone up in 3 months. It's gone up, 2-3 times in a short period of time. And there's very few predictable instruments that have done that well. So when you look at the overall coin market cap of CoinMarketCap, you'll see there's a reason why both of these guys are in the top 10. So here's a position of Chainlink, top 11, and TZOS is in the top 10. And that's just in the last few months, came out of nowhere. And another one I discovered last week that's done really well is BSV as well. That performance has been quite solid as well. And that is listed on the Binance markets. This one is quite shocking, actually, how well it's done, and nobody talked about it. Forget all the political crap that comes out of this stock or out of this coin, but look where it's been at. Was at $80, and it just spiked up in a very short period of time at 400, and it's kind of stayed there already. So even at 272 to 367, that's a 50% move in a very small amount of time, and we're able to track that using all these different bots available to us. So again, this is a fairly predictable coin. You can see it's done really well over the last day, from 218 to 244. I mean, that's more than a 10% move in a day. And this is one of those coins that's predictable, that's doing really, really well. So you got to ask yourself, why would you not be in the crypto market knowing this stuff versus in the U.S. markets or anywhere, especially with this coronavirus on, as well as the Forex futures? All of them are affected, but the one that seems to be proving the last few days on a weekend when everything else is closed, the one that's proven itself is the crypto market. And I've just shown you 3 coins in the last, since the beginning of the year, that has doubled, tripled, and in this case, gone up 4 times, maybe 5 times in a very short amount of time. So then you ask yourself, why are you not part of this? It's up to you. That's part of what trading's about, is to get returns. And as I can tell you, with the APIs quite solid, the security of Binance pretty safe. It seems to be pretty clean and honest. There is a way now to get access to a chat bot with a real human. I don't know if they're out of China or whatnot. English is not that great, but you're still getting better support than I would say than even on Oanda. Oanda is useless. So you can trade on this, what I've seen, with confidence, with all these styles of trading and data points that I'm showing you, and the kind of potential returns that you can get or could have gotten since the beginning of 2020. It's unreal, and I'd rather put all my energy into this now than anything else. So that's pretty well it. I've seen people come and go, so it doesn't look like there's any needed questions. But if you are watching this video, you can put a comment in. I'll try to answer it if it's not been answered before in the past on anything else. Also, if you are really into this, but don't have the programming skills, well, there's a couple of options you can have. First, you can go to the quantlabs.net. I've got trading books that you can easily download. At Quant Labs, you can sign up here and just put your name in an email, and you'll get those books right off the bat. I've also got a DVD, so that I'm still waiting for the day when Motive Wave is available to trade on Binance. So here, this is the DVD for $10, and I will tell you I'll be doubling the price in the next day or so, the next few days, to $20 US once we get it on Amazon, and may even go up further if it becomes something of positive for people. So there is that, and you can get that here at quantlabs.net/DVD. Also, if you want to learn really deep, you can go to quantlabs.net shop, okay, which is a Shopify store, and then you'll be able to go into the catalog here and be able to go through and pick off this course right here and start learning how to build trading bots with crypto in mind, using really Binance, but you can easily swap it out for something like Coinbase, Kraken, whatever you want. So there's that. If you want to really learn about some of the stuff that I've been putting up over the last number of months, you can get this service too, the Elite. I'm doing the consultant as well. That's kind of hush-hush right now. And if you don't know any of the programming, there's also this this service, because there's two things happening. There's a signals going to be going out. I can easily deliver those to your inbox, your email inbox. And the other thing is, what I can do is I am able to I'm using a service called cointracking.info, and there you can get access to my trading record verified, like from my Binance account. So that's kind of available, but I just don't willy-nilly let people know about it. So there's that, and I'll tell you, um, since November, with Ethereum taking off, my tiny portfolio has doubled from nothing, um, and it's gone up from about $400 to, it peaked 2 weeks ago nearly $1,000 of kind of doing the trading here. But with what I just showed, with the potential of these other coins, the Tezos, the Chainlink, and the BSV, I mean, you got opportunity there since the beginning of the year where it tripled, and it went up to five times. Hello. And there's other coins that we're able to track, very small ones that you don't know about, that could be any of these ones found in the BTC market here. Okay, and there's other ones as well I could track through here that are very specific, and then I can also track what's performing at Coinbase, and then apply it to the Binance market as well. And there's a lot of opportunity here, and I can track all that and build trading signal on top of connecting into the coin tracking API. I can also post my track record and what's been trading and how it's been doing pretty close to real time. So nothing out there exists, especially for crypto. As I said, when you have these kind of opportunities I just showed you on TradingView, like BSV, like this kind of move is just massive, and we're missing out on these opportunities pretty well every day. So I'm gonna shut up now. I've given you all the resources to go. So again, if you want the books, just go to quantlabs.net, or if you want the DVD, come over to the quantlabs.net/DVD. That's pretty well it. I'll just say thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later. If you got any comments, you can get your free. If you're on Facebook, just type in free, and you get the books right then and there, all within Facebook. Other than that, thanks for watching, and we shall talk to you later. Have a good day, or night, or whatever.